Hello, my fearless seeker. Welcome into today's Pick a Card Tarot reading. My name is Amanda. This reading is for anyone who has been giving beyond their capacity and in turn struggling with fatigue, irritation, or feeling guilty when you prioritize yourself. As a reminder, boundaries aren't used to control others or manipulate an outcome. They are established to protect your time, energy, values, and well-being, so you can engage with life from a place of strength. Today, the cards will reveal empowering messages to help you recognize your limits, reclaim your energy, and nurture your well-being with intention and compassion. As always, take what resonates, leave the rest. You have 3 piles to choose from. Pick one or all 3. Timestamps and everything you'd like to know about me, my channel, or my Patreon page can be found in the description. Trust your gut, pick your path, and let's get into it. Hello, my Soul Path 1. Welcome into your reading. You chose the number 12 with Touching Earth, Planting Something New. I feel like this is the result of you setting more boundaries or creating more limitations, more structure within your life, is that you will be able to create something new. Maybe this something new has been on your mind for some time, but you feel overstretched or over capacity, and you simply don't have the energy to create. So by creating more limits, to having more boundaries, you're able to create the space that you need for this something new. It may even help ground you a little bit more, but I feel part of this is going to be you getting comfortable with the void, with the stillness even that comes with setting these boundaries. So maybe you're someone that likes to fill their time with lots of things to do, or maybe that's just how you naturally roll, where if you don't have work to do, then you'll find something within the home to do, a TV show to watch, a podcast to listen to, a friend to talk to online or phone. And it just, there's a sense of filling your time. So you aren't able to really create the space for something new that you want to manifest in your life. And so it's creating the space, but maybe there's a little discomfort around that boredom or that space that you create, because it may not get filled right away. And so how do you deal with that void of nothing to do, nowhere to go? And this is outside of meditation, outside of things like yoga practices, because you're still in that sense doing something. Although meditation might be a little less so because you are creating that stillness, creating that space. How are you doing that? How are you in spaces of nothingness, of doing nothing? So that may be your challenge, but let's see where you've been giving past your boundaries, past your capacity. Justice. There's something here about keeping the peace. So maybe there's a lot of decisions that you're making on a day-to-day basis. This could be part of your job, part of your work, but also within family dynamics as well. Maybe you have children that you're taking care of, or family that you're taking care of, or there's just a lot to do. And so you're trying to juggle a whole bunch of things, you're trying to balance a whole bunch of things, and with that comes a lot of decision making. Maybe a lot of major decisions, but also a lot of micro decisions as well. And I feel that you carry, I wouldn't say a heavy burden, but you carry the burden of making these decisions. Maybe you're a single parent. Maybe you are an owner of a business. But it's like you're constantly weighing your options, weighing choices, weighing the pros and cons. So maybe this is part of your career or job. And you might be that person that people come to for advice as well, where they connect with you because they need your help. They need you to help them decide on something, on major life events. You know, you might be the person that all of your friends and family come to in crisis. or when they're moving through difficulty. And this absolutely does not leave any room for your own decision-making, your own desires, or your own needs. So let's see in this space what needs containment. The moon. And I kind of like this energy for you because this is about creating a little bit of mystery around your schedule, around your time. Maybe not over justifying why you do something or explaining why. What needs containment here is that you need to have a little bit more, I don't want to say privacy, but having things be a little bit more secretive, a little bit more mysterious. You don't have to over-explain yourself when you say no. You don't have to take on everyone else's responsibilities or storylines. You don't need to solve everyone's problems. It's okay for you to be in this mysterious unknown for yourself. This is privacy for me. So what needs containment is your privacy needs more containment. The things that maybe you think need a little more containment so that people don't impose upon you so much. And again, I'm getting a lot of stillness with the moon. I'm getting a lot of quietude. Just being more gentle with yourself. I feel that there is a lot of compassion for other people, but maybe not so much yourself. And this might be a little bit of a challenge. That challenge is coming back here of what happens in that quiet space, what happens in the void. Maybe a lot of things come up for you. So let's see what becomes possible with support or structure. What becomes possible with support or structure. Yes. High Priestess. I love that because this is kind of the embodiment of quiet wisdom, of knowing when to engage in something, knowing when to pull away. And you have all major arcanas here, so I think this is kind of a big deal. And Queen of Swords in the reverse at the bottom of the deck in your shadow position, which is kind of an underlying fear or an overall energy. This is basically not having the strongest boundaries with people. And you're here, so this is nothing secret. But yeah, it's kind of turning this queen upright and not allowing everyone and everything to come in. Be really discerning about what you engage in and what you don't, and not having to explain why. And the High Priestess is having this intuition about, this is what I know to be true for me, and I allow this, I accept this, and I reinforce this. Maybe not necessarily by force, but through quiet action. But there is just that feeling of knowing when to help and knowing when to help yourself. Knowing when it's appropriate, knowing when it's not. Specifically when it comes to you and your capacity. And maybe carving more space for that stillness so you can hear your intuition on what that new thing is that wants to be created. Final card for Soul Path 1, please. Soul Path 1, final card. Law of Attraction. I don't get manifestation with this, although that could be part of this energy where you're planting something new, but also just what you are attracted to and what you are attracting in these moments and what you would like to create as well. Checking in with your energy, your frequency, and to make sure that that is aligned with what you would like to create. You know, if we're drained, if we are overextending ourselves to the point where we don't have the energy, the time, the creativity, the motivation, then we can't possibly manifest something new when we're in that frequency of overgiving, or when we are in that frequency of not dedicating ourselves to the things that are truly valuable to us in our life. So take some quiet time for yourself, I think, is the first piece of guidance here, to really consider where in your life you are overgiving and would like to create more space and time for yourself. What areas of life do you feel like you are not aligned to your values? Which area of life do you feel like there's an obligation or an assumption that you will show up and help or offer something, and you really feel like you need to set a healthy boundary there so that your time and energy is respected a little bit more? And don't feel like you have to rush this. You can start small. I definitely recommend starting small when you're starting to set boundaries and shifting the narrative from this is how I've always done it to this is how we're doing it now. Sometimes there can be a big gap between one and the other. So take it slow, take it small, and see where you end up. And that is the message I have for you today, my dear Soul Path 1. If this hit home, share in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss your next reading. And if you feel called to explore this theme more deeply, in my Patreon page this month, we are diving deep into working within structures, limitations, and boundaries. I will share extended reflections and deeper context around this topic. So come join us over there. It's going to be a good time. And remember, you are not here to wait for your future. You are here to create it. I'll see you in your next reading. Hello, my Soul Path 2. Welcome in. You chose number 35 with Clairvoyance, Inspiration, Interpretation, and Trust. And I feel that this is the result of creating more boundaries, is that you will have more quiet time to connect in with your intuition, to be able to interpret what you're moving through, to create trust within yourself a little bit more. I almost wonder too if it's giving you space between a potential trigger and the response or the outcome. It's like, yeah, you'll be able to tune into something that's a little more grounded rather than responding to something and then regretting that response later. And not to say that it's a negative response. It could just be you wanted to say no, but you said yes because that's been your automatic default for a really long time. So by creating that space, you can tune into your intuition a little bit more and say, is this the correct decision that I need to make? Is this a yes for me right now? Or am I limited in my capacity or my energy, my schedule, whatever it is? And so it's developing that intuition and that self-trust a little bit more rather than impulsively saying yes to something when you really want to say no and you don't have the energy, the capacity, or the time for it. So that's maybe where you're overextending, but also the development of the intuition might be helpful in you setting more boundaries as well, which may be exactly what I just said, but for some reason that sounded different. So let's see where you've been giving past your capacity. Where have you been giving past your capacity? Soul Path 2. Temperance in reverse. Okay. So this could be, there's a peacekeeping energy here, and that's interesting. It somewhat came out in Soul Path 1 as well. It's a different energy, though. This is a little more imbalanced, and it also has a connection to healing as well, or an unhealed part of you, part of yourself. It's also being really overwhelmed emotionally, and those overwhelming emotions might be the thing that is driving some kind of impulsive reaction or response. It also might be in areas where you are offering care, compassion, and support to others. So you could be a nurse, you could be a death doula, you could be some kind of practitioner that requires you to show up as your best self, as your most compassionate self. And maybe that's been really hard over the last little bit. You've been feeling a little imbalanced there, and you've been trying to keep the peace, but you haven't been able to internally. So I feel like you are feeling a little bit imbalanced here within your own well-being. So you might be giving more than you have right now. You might be offering more heart than you have to give. So this could be a lack of self-care or a connection to, the Death card. What needs containment? I do feel there's some things here that needs to be released. I couldn't say specifically what it is, but what needs containment is this idea of holding on to everything. And I don't really know what that means specifically, but the Death card is about a slow decay of something that is no longer viable, no longer available, no longer sustainable. And it's coming to terms with that and releasing that. So that could be, it could be a pretty major deal, whatever this letting go is, because we've got two major arcana cards, which are about major events in our life or significant points of growth on our path. So this could be a transition from one energy to another, one role to another, one identity to another. And it requires us to let go of a pretty significant story or a belief or a pattern or a person, a job. So what becomes possible with support and or structure with a boundary? Yeah, it's like you've taken on so much that you haven't been able to really process and let something go. It's like you've just been hanging on to everything and moving along, but there's a lot of, I feel very heavy weight needs to be released. Soul Path 1 got this card in the same position. That might be of interest. And then the Empress in reverse. Yeah, something you've outgrown here. Whatever it might be, you've outgrown something. And again, we have all major arcanas here. Again, you guys, all of you guys are going through some major stuff right now that is asking you for boundaries, that is asking for containment, because it is necessary to move you to the next thing. It is necessary for your growth. And we talk about this on my Patreon page this month, and a lot of these themes are coming out where the boundaries aren't restrictions and things that suppress you. It actually supports what's next. It supports you in your next chapter or the next path. It's really interesting that I'm getting healer from both of these cards, and there is, with the Temperance, there is this energy of giving, and not really, like, I feel really burned out. I feel like I've given so much. I feel like it's very rewarding. So it's not that you resent or dislike whatever it is that you are giving to, because I do feel it comes from a place of heart and a place of passion, maybe compassion, but it's completely draining you and you have nothing left for yourself at the end of the day. So whatever that is, that needs to change. That needs to adjust and adapt and transition into something different. And what's something different is the High Priestess, which is about intuition. It's about a higher knowing and bringing that higher knowing into the world, into reality. But it's also a very passive energy. It is not... I also get a lot of discernment from the High Priestess too, because it's wisdom energy. It is knowing when to, very similar message to Soul Path 1, where it is the wisdom to know when to move, when to make a decision, and then when to retreat and step back and trust. So again, we have the Clairvoyance, which is very High Priestess energy. It is that pausing energy. It is knowing when to engage and when not to, but you have to be really in tune with your intuition to know when those moments are. Not to say that will be perfect, but to do your best in those moments rather than responding, and completely draining your resources in the process. And the Empress in reverse is that I've outgrown something energy, where your expansion, your growth is limited in the space because either you can't fully express or you can't show up in your most fullest self, fullest expression, fullest energy. And there's an imbalance. So something has to change to come back into alignment and for you to be able to create from a place of nurturing again. But nurturing self as much as you're nurturing others. Knowing when you need that break, knowing when you need to take time to create, recharge, rejuvenate. So there's wisdom that comes with this path. There is a higher knowing. There is stepping into maybe a higher purpose or simply just experiencing growth within yourself, experiencing more abundance in your life as well. So, final card for Soul Path 2. We have self-regulation. So again, I'm getting that balancing energy, but also being really determined in getting that done, of making that happen, because it is important. I feel it's super important in whatever stage you are finding yourself in. And I feel that might not be happening here with this Temperance card. It's like you're trying to keep the peace, or you are taking on emotional responsibility of others, or getting involved in something to the point where you lose yourself in that process. So by self-regulating and understanding these situations a little bit more, understanding what you're hanging on to and what you need to let go of, what you've outgrown, what you're disconnected from, and what you want to reconnect with, I feel that the balance will follow once you start inquiring. So these are the messages I have for you today, my Soul Path 2. If this hit home, share in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss your next reading. And if you feel called to explore this theme and more deeply, come and join me on my Patreon page. We're talking all about boundaries, limitations, and structure. I'll be sharing some extended reflections and deeper context around this theme. We are putting these insights into real life action. Remember, you're not here to wait for your future, you're here to create it. I'll see you in your next reading. Soul Path 3, hello, welcome into your reading. You chose 33. That was not my intention. I think this happened in my last reading where 33 was the number for Soul Path 3. So unintentional, I did not realize that, but here we are. 3s might be your lucky number. Building your world, creation, expansion, networking. Now, it's interesting. I don't know if there's a lot of people here who are creators, builders, visionaries. There's a lot of creation and expansion energy in this. So this is what we talk about in my Patreon, on my Patreon page this month, is how limits and structure can actually support your growth and create more freedom. And I know it sounds paradoxical, but I go into some deeper explorations and even personal examples, so feel free to join me there. The link is in the description if you're interested. So yeah, building your world. I feel like this is the result of you creating more boundaries and structure around whatever it is that needs a boundary or structure at this time. Creation, I feel like you're going to be creating some new things and seeing expansion in a particular area where your energy might feel scattered. You might be able to network with the correct people, because rather than casting a broad net, you're really getting focused on certain people that you would like to reach or connect with. So 33 is like it is double threes. It's not like a double three. It is a double three, which is expansion, double expansion, double growth. But also when we add it up, it is 6. So it is balance. It is harmony. So let's look at where you've been giving past your capacity. And everybody so far, Soul Path 1 and 2, got all major arcanas in their readings within the first major the main 3 cards, not major 3 cards. They all got major arcana. So I think everybody's going through a really big transition right now. So we have the 7 of Swords in reverse. Okay. So what I'm getting from that, usually this is like, deception card or, I call it my authenticity card or my personal truth card because that's just how I read it. I read it as whether or not you're being honest with yourself, honest with others, and being authentic, showing up vulnerably, sharing your truth. When it's in reverse, I feel like you are showing up vulnerably, sharing your truth. All that I feel is good, but there might be certain people that maybe you shouldn't be opening up to, sharing your ideas, communicating, trying to explain your boundaries. So it's almost like you're oversharing somewhere. And I don't know in which capacity. Maybe it's a specific relationship where you're trying to get someone to see things your way, or you're oversharing on your social media and you're sharing everything and you're not getting specific about what it is you are trying to attract or what you're trying to achieve. So I feel like the authenticity and the expression is beautiful. Let's not get rid of that. But let's get a little more strategic with that, is the feeling that I'm getting there. So yeah, you might be, it depends on the context too, because I wanted to say you might be speaking out too much, but there's certain spaces and places where that's absolutely necessary. And then there's other spaces, places, people where it may need to be pulled back because it's either futile or it isn't strategic. It's not helping or benefiting you or the other person in some way. So let's see, what needs containment? What needs containment here? Might give us more detail. 6 of Swords, more sword energy in reverse. So it's interesting that we go from the 7 to the 6. So again, it's like pulling back. And this one's also in reverse. So it's interesting. It's when it's in the upright, it's like we're moving ahead, we're seeing progress. In the reverse, it's like you're getting back into something sticky here. You're getting back into, I don't want to say chaos, but that's usually how the card is depicted, moving from chaos to calm. But I think this is all in the mind. And this could actually be a fear of what needs containment is how you perceive something, how you perceive not sharing certain things with certain people, about being really selective about what you share and who you share with, being really discerning or more discerning about what kind of ideas you share with people, sharing what you want to create, and giving things away before they're ready. So it might create a little bit of funky energy, static noise, chaos when you do pull that back and when you do get a little more selective about what you share and how you share. But I think it is necessary for you to find a little more calm and to learn something within that space as well. It might be kind of a scary thing though, because maybe that's something that you're not used to, but the discomfort might be necessary. Another 6. What is happening here? You have a couple of 6s and these are all in reverse. So what becomes possible without support or structure is that you start to really celebrate yourself. You really start to validate your own ideas rather than getting validation from the outside world or from anybody else. It's almost as if you don't trust yourself underneath it all. And another 6. 666. This is weird. This is weird. But it's like you don't trust yourself, so you need to share, you need to express in order for you to feel safe, secure, validated. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when we lean on that too much, we lack the ability to trust ourselves in that process. And that's a really important thing, especially when we are creating and building something. You may not be able to get the validation that this is correct or this is the right decision or this is going to work out, because when we're forging our own path or doing our own thing, there are no guarantees. So we just have to trust ourselves that we can get through whatever challenge might be ahead, and trust our intuition, trust our discernment. So I really love that, because it's supporting your success ultimately, but not success based on what other people say is successful. It's based on what you feel is successful. And we have a 6 of Cups in the upright, which is an underlying fear or overall energy here. I feel like as a child, you were very talkative, you were very expressive, and so maybe you don't want to dishonor that part of you. Again, that's a beautiful thing. We don't want to repress that at all. We just want to get really clear about when to express that and to whom. This could also be rooted in childhood as well, or some kind of childhood connection where you're trying to find some kind of balance in a relationship or balance in a connection. And so you feel by sharing something, your honesty, your truth, and being vulnerable, that it might help. But we have to look at whether or not you're carrying all of the weight to make that happen, or if this is something that you have to energetically pull away from in order to protect your own peace, your own sense of calm, your own mental health. It could apply to so many different areas of life. For example, posting on social media to get the likes and the subscribes and the follows and the comments and all of that. Nothing wrong with that. But when we're putting our entire identity or our entire business success in those things, in those vanity metrics, then it's really tough for us to discern whether or not we are actually successful. It really disempowers us, is kind of where I was going with that. Because when we don't get what we think we need in order for it to be a success, whether that's our business or the thing that we're posting, then it can really hurt our confidence. It can really hurt our self-esteem and can degrade our self-trust. So we have to be really careful about those things, about getting external validation for the things that we think, for the things that we want to bring to life, or ideas. Okay, I've talked a lot. I feel like I've talked a lot. I also think I'm channeling a little bit of your higher self energy here, or your spirit guide energy. It's just, I feel very talkative. Okay, final card for Soul Path 3. Okay, so you have 2. Seek healing and the past. So we did touch on the past a little bit here with the 6 of Cups. Definitely there's some kind of past connection that could require healing. I don't know if that's the connection itself or you within this dynamic, looking at the dynamic of the situation and seeking healing from it, for it, because of it. I feel like this past connection has really influenced your current position and why you might be overgiving beyond your capacity, which may be putting you in situations of chaos as well. So it's, yeah, there's possibly a root cause for this that goes beyond just saying too much or oversharing or trying to convince someone or over-communicating in some way. I think it runs a little deeper than that. So I'm just going to leave that there with you for now. And this is the message that I have. If this hit home, share in the comments and subscribe so you don't miss your next reading. And if you feel called to explore boundaries, limitations, and structure more deeply, or any of these kinds of themes, come join me on Patreon. We're talking about that this month in February. And I'll share extended reflections and deeper context around that energy. And we'll turn these insights into real life action. I'll also share some examples from my own personal experience. So definitely come check that out. Remember, you're not here to wait for your future. You are here to create it. I'll see you in your next reading.